Hello everyone and welcome back to another Year 5 and 6 English tutorial. Today we are going to be looking at using the past perfect form of verbs. So this is the last of the past tenses that you'll be learning at primary school with us, and it is left till the end of primary school because it is one of the more complicated ones to understand when and how to use it. But once you realise what it sounds like, you'll realise that you've been using it all the time anyway when we talk to each other, and that you'll have seen it in lots of places in books that you've read. Okay, so the past perfect form, when do we use it? Well, it describes actions that had happened before a specific time in the past. So they're the sorts of things you would say that could answer a question like this: what had happened before? And it could be, what had happened before 6 o'clock yesterday? What had happened before you had your breakfast yesterday? What had happened before the accident? What had happened before your brother started crying? What had happened before the children were evacuated in World War II? What had happened before the dinosaurs became extinct? So it can be the recent past or a very long time ago, but we're talking about something that had already happened before that time. Okay, it sounds complicated, but once I show you what it looks like, I promise you it'll become a lot clearer. So when we're making the past perfect form of a verb, it needs 3 parts, okay? Just like the present perfect form of verbs. You need a subject, so that is the person doing the verb. So that might be I, it might be you, it might be the boy, it might be the dog, it might be we, it might be they. Okay, so there are lots of different subjects that we could use. That's the person who's doing the verb. Then we have to use this word here. We have to use had, and it is always had in the past perfect form. And then we need to use a past participle. Now, often for regular verbs, a past participle will end in ed, but sometimes they end in en, and sometimes they are completely irregular. So you just have to learn them, and you'll realise that you probably know lots of past participles already because you probably use them all the time when you're talking, and you've seen them lots of times in your books. So I'm going to do a few examples because I think that's the easiest way to explain to you what it looks like. So I'm going to start off with the first one. I'm going to start off with the subject I, because it's always easiest to start with yourself. So my subject is going to be I. The question that I'm going to have been asked is, what had happened before 6 p.m. yesterday in my house? So what had happened before 6 p.m. yesterday in my house? So I'm going to say that I, that's my subject. I need to make sure that I use my had. I had. And then what had I been doing? The verb I'm going to pick is to work. And the past participle of to work is worked. It's a nice regular one. So I'm going to say, I had worked. And I could just end it there, or I could extend my sentence a little bit and say, I had worked all day. Okay, but this is our past perfect form. It's got our subject, our had, and our past participle. Let me give you another example. So using the same question, what had happened before 6 p.m. yesterday in my house? I'm going to talk about Jacob, which is my son, and I am going to say, so my subject is Jacob. So I'm going to say Jacob. I need to make sure I use my had, because we always have to use that in the past perfect form. And I'm going to say Jacob had played. Okay, it's another nice regular one. It comes from the verb to play, and it becomes played. And I'm going to say Jacob had played, and I'm going to say in the garden. Because even though I still think it's freezing, he wants to be outside all the time. Okay, then I'm going to do one more for us on this question. So the same question, what had happened before 6 p.m. yesterday in my house? I'm going to say an it one. I'm going to say my subject is going to be it, and I'm going to use my had, because I know that has to be my second part. And I'm going to say it had, and I'm going to take the verb to rain. And in the past participle form, that becomes rained with an ed on the end. So I'm going to say it had rained. And I'm going to end my sentence there so that I don't go on wittering for too long. Okay, I'm just going to give you two more examples with a couple of irregular verbs, because these ones are all nice and regular and end in an ed for the past participle. So this time I'm going to change my question, and I'm going to imagine that there's been an accident. So I'm going to have the question as what had happened before the accident, or what had happened before the ambulance arrived. Okay, so I'm going to be giving a little bit of information, and I'm going to say that it was a boy and that he fell in the road. So what had happened before the ambulance arrived? My subject would be the boy, because he's the one who did the falling. So I'm going to say the boy is my subject. I need to use had, because that is always the second part of the past perfect form. And then my past participle of the verb to fall is fallen. The boy had fallen. And I'm going to finish that sentence by saying into the road. So this bit isn't part of the past perfect form. It's just going to finish off my sentence. So the boy had fallen into the road. I've got my subject, the boy, my second part, my had, and my past participle is fallen. Okay, I'm going to give you one more. It's going to be a bit more of a gruesome one. So this time I'm going to say his body. That's going to be my subject. And I'm going to say that his body sort of flew. Okay, it flew across the road. So I'm going to say his body is going to be my subject. Okay, that's my subject. I need to make sure I use my had. So his body had, and then the past participle of the verb to fly is flown. It's another irregular one. So it's spelt like that. It would be like the verb grow would become grown in the past participle. So his body had flown, and I'm going to say to the ground. And both of those sentences could be answers to that question that I asked. What had happened before the ambulance arrived? The boy had fallen into the road. His body had flown to the ground. Okay? So you must have those three parts when you're forming the past perfect form. So let's have a look at a little challenge for you to try now. So let me just peel away the information so that you can see what's underneath. Okay, so what you can see now are some sentences that I have written in the simple past. Okay, so they are using just a subject and the past tense form of the verb. So we've got they baked a cake, I danced all night, we thought it was over, my son built a sandcastle, everyone wrote in the card, I went to the end of the earth for her, the man gave them a menacing look, she knew they'd be back, you rode the bike all the way home, they saw him leave. Now your challenge today is to change these sentences from their simple past form into their past perfect form for me. So if you want to pause the video there and then you can have a go at changing them. Once you're ready, replay the video and I will reveal the answers for you. Okay, so hopefully you've had a go at that and you've been able to rewrite these sentences into the past perfect form for me. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to reveal the answers on the other side for you. So this time, the answers are, there aren't really any alternative answers. So your answer needs to match what is up here. Okay, I'm going to very quickly read them in case you can't see any of them. So it said, they had baked a cake. I had danced all night. We had thought it was over. My son had built a sandcastle. Everyone had written in the card, I had gone to the end of the earth for her. So we're on to the irregular ones now. The man had given them a menacing look. She had known they'd be back. You had ridden the bike all the way home, and they had seen him leave. Okay, hopefully if you're checking your answers now, you'll find that you've been able to transfer them from the simple past into the past perfect form really easily for me now. So I look forward to seeing how you use that in your writing. Perhaps you could write for me a little explanation of what you had done by tea time yesterday into a short paragraph to demonstrate that you understand really clearly how to use that past perfect form. But thank you very much for watching, and I really hope to see you on the next video. Bye bye.